Welcome back to Stray Trains. Melbourne Siemens fleet have been running on our railways for about 20 years now. As a result, they lack modernisation and require some work to keep them in top shape. So let's take a journey into the Siemens Midlife Project right from the start. This video will be divided into 3 upgrade parts and then onto the special case of 741 742M. Who knows, we might even see some 3-carriage Siemens action on the Dandenong corridor this video. No more mucking around, let's get straight into it. Hope you enjoy the video. For 20 years now, Siemens trains have had the same base look despite livery changes. Various pre-upgrade clips will be shown throughout the video as reference to where it all began. The first major part started in about mid-2021, where 6-carriage Siemens set 747 748M, 809 810M was temporarily withdrawn from regular passenger service to be put aside at Newport workshops for various upgrades. The main exterior upgrade was a new destination headboard, which saw the centre cabs no longer displaying the destination. However, the leading and trailing cab going from the green flip dot style to a screen with a smaller white font. A win for at night, however during the day, not so much. Here is a nice little medley of some cool destinations that are actually in the system. No doubt some very interesting ones that we will see here being that some of these stations aren't terminating locations and others are stations that Siemens don't even serve. Overall, the display is much simpler, which can be seen as a good thing for the everyday passenger. All city-bound trains terminating at Flinders Street Station have now just Flinders Street Station as the destination headboard, irrespective of whether the service is running direct to Flinders Street or via the loop, leading to the end of City Loop on the Siemens destination. For the cross-city lines, it is now just the final destination, and it no longer specifies the via city bit, which means the destination headboard was now always one size. However, we will find out later in the video that just because an upgrade happened now doesn't mean it didn't get changed again. One other thing to point out with the upgrade here is Flemington Racecourse very tiny on the previous destination headboard, and with the upgrade, the final E in Racecourse is missing. In terms of the interior, as part of the network standardization aim, the train's interior passenger information displays, or PIDs, PID, were upgraded. Whilst punctuation was not a strong point, as we can see by the listing out here without any commas for instance, there were some big pluses. For instance, the blue special colour for Network Control Centre or driver announcements is very useful. Additionally, the announcing voice changed to the extrapolar style voice. The Siemens were known for having their unique announcements. Even the now arriving and terminating announcements changed in tone. The only time there were ever a ding on the original announcements was at a terminating station.
This train will be terminating at Cheltenham.
Now every single station announcements have a chime that is best known from Sydney but is on other parts of the network in Australia, such as even the V-Line network in Victoria.
This is a Berwick Limited Express service direct to Berwick. Now arriving at Hallam.
Another downside as well was these passenger information displays do appear to be quite glitchy at times. Sometimes just sticking to the word metro, and sometimes like this with the screen sort of playing around. But despite these few downfalls, overall it is really good because instead of just saying what the next station is, the screens now give you a lot more information. Not only just where the next station is, but also where the train is heading towards and what type of service it is. It seems that the train tends to flicker every 7 to 10 seconds, so plenty of time to read as well. There were also other changes, such as a newer passenger emergency intercom, aka PEI. Being a more vibrant colour, they were also more noticeable. However, we will see later that they would prove not to be a sufficient enough upgrade, as further change would be required due to their lack of accessibility. There were also upgrades done in the driver's cab, such as better CCTV footage, But for obvious reasons, it's not really possible to show that here in this video. So there you have it. Following 747, 748, 809, 810M, the rest of the Siemens fleet received the corresponding upgrade, completing the first major stage. Being that part 2 is only 2 separate upgrades done at similar times, we're going to split it up into 2 aspects, part 2.1 and 2.2. For part 2.1, the upgrade done was something that we see similar to the Comenge and Extrapus fleet, and that is specific seating deemed as accessible, which were given the orange PTV triangle seating design. We also see this type of orange PTV seating on other modes of transport, such as V-lines, trams, and buses. It appeared that the priority seating were the seats nearest to each carriage doors, and also the entirety of the far ends of the carriage that has the U-shaped square seating. And little did we know this would be the beginning of the end for the Siemens seats with the stations' names on them, something that many passengers do like. For the second time in roughly 3 years, the Siemens set had its internal PIDs and destination headboards upgraded. The destination headboard was only a minor modification where the font size had been increased. Yet what was remarkable in the change was, for the first time ever, Siemens trains now have a scrolling destination headboard. Maybe it had partly to do with some of the destinations not fitting cough cough Flemington Racecourse. Maybe second time lucky, hey? As much as the original destos were nice, these are much better from a passenger standpoint. Whilst the original destination headboard was incompatible with the first change, the redo was actually compatible. Here is a Frankston service demonstrating the 2 different destination headboards coupled to each other working perfectly fine. The leading carriage has the most recent change, which is the larger letter on the destination headboard, and the trailing set had a much smaller Frankston font. This destination headboard change was done quite quickly for most of the fleets. However, the internal PID change was done separately. The new interior PID redo appears to mimic the Stage 3 Comenge upgrade, where the line colouring and map was introduced. Whilst travelling in between 2 stations, the passenger information display will show the next 4 stations ahead, plus the final destination, which is broken up with the line and then a little T there to signify the end of the service, and it says right above it where it's going, which in this case is to Frankston. It would have been nice just to have a via Flinders Street or something to say that this train is heading into the city, as for instance some people on the west might not know where Frankston is. Either way though, very interestingly though, it now says now arriving at Westona in all white, and only once you're actually at the station it turns into the line group colouring, which in this case is green. Here is the new PID in real time.
Now arriving at Newport. Change here for Williamstown services. Newport. Change here for Williamstown services. This is a service to Frankston, stopping all stations direct to Frankston.
Unlike the different size destination headboard fonts, if the older style passenger information display was coupled to a set that had the newer Stage 3 Comenge-like ones, it had a little glitch when at a station.
Westona.
Whilst the Westall overhaul was no doubt the most significant change that we saw in the Siemens fleet throughout these upgrades, the way they got to Westall was rather interesting as 3 carriage empty movements. trackside between Westall and Springvale stations, where we see the Siemens train shunt into Westall stable sidings. You will see a green building in the background of the shot once it flips. That is where the workshops are at Westall, and that is where the Siemens trains are upgraded. Now, what exactly do these upgrades consist of? Once moved into the workshops, the Siemens were stripped of their liveries, giving it all grey look on the side. Here is a last minute realisation shot when I was passing one outside of the workshops. This was done because all the Siemens fleet received new livery stickering with slight modifications to the old design. This part had no doubt the most drastic change to the Siemens fleet, with so many different aspects to the upgrade, which were predominantly inspired by features on Melbourne's newest trains, the high-capacity metro train. These exterior-inspired HCMT changes include no PTV logos or metro logos, yellow marking around the doors, rectangles at the bottom of the carriage. On that note, though, do let me know what they are for. I'm actually not sure what they are for, but did notice them. On the interior, solid stickering with braille, passenger emergency intercom, PEI redo. Do note though that the PEIs nearest to the cab's end of the carriage, where the U seating is on the Siemens trains, were actually lowered from their normal height above the ground to much lower to allow for better accessibility, which is a great change. It is now left a rather weird sort of looking rectangle near the doors where they used to be, but what can you do? There were also extra poles for support. It did appear that most of them were near where the U-shaped seating was at the far ends of the three carriage sets. Some appeared look like just to sort of hold while you were standing, and others for extra support when getting on or off a chair. And of course, a button for ramp assistance, which is a great addition. On top of that, there were also other changes. A minor one was a substitution for no Metro logos, copying some of the Extrapolis fleet with an operated by Metro logo on the sides of the carriage. And of course, there it is. This will be the end of the station names on the seats, with the remaining seats in the carriage that aren't priority seating getting the blue PTV triangles. These are meant to be comfier, although I'll let you be the judge of that one.
No taking passengers, platform 7.
So that is all in terms of the Siemens Midlife Upgrade project. However, there is still a little bit more. at least I think, worthwhile speaking about. The case of 741-742M was rather unique. It was the only set to receive the new modified livery while still having the original destination headboard and passenger information displays. This was over a year out from before any other train in the fleet received the new livery as what appeared to be some sort of trial. And this was the first of many interesting configurations of upgrades. Because these upgrades were done at separate times individually at even different locations, we saw a lot of interesting matches. For instance, this set here didn't have the blue PTV sets and the older passenger emergency intercom, but did have the newer passenger information display. On the exterior, it had the older version of the livery, coupled to 814M that had the newer version of the livery. On the interior, the extra poles, the blue PTV seating, the newer passenger emergency intercom, but we're still caught up with the older style passenger information displays. So with all that in mind, you almost wonder why there were so many upgrades done at various stages and that they weren't all done together. Maybe there's reasoning to it, but either way, it makes it for a rather fun time right now on the network with so many variations of the Siemens trains that will soon eventually become history. Right from the interior all the way to the exterior. With all that in mind, this video is no doubt long enough. What are your thoughts on the Siemens Midlife Project? Are you in favour of the upgrades? Any you like, any you don't? Thank you so much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed the video. And I think we'll leave it at that. Cheers.
Now arriving at the showgrounds.